You're sitting at your kitchen table, a glass of water in your hand, heart pounding slightly. You've just asked a simple question. Why didn't they call when they said they would? The words coming back at you are a swirl, long sentences, half-finished thoughts, references to things that happened last week, last year, things you recall differently. The conversation is looping, doubling back, tangling in itself. You find yourself trying to recall what you even asked, searching for some thread of meaning. It's as if you've wandered into a fog, and the harder you try to find your way out, the thicker it gets. What you're experiencing has a name. Clinicians call it word salad. In plain terms, it's a deliberate tangle of language, a psychological tactic used most famously by narcissists and other manipulators. It's not just messy talking. Word salad is a precise weapon, designed to confuse, exhaust, and control. The term itself comes to us from the clinical world, with Dr. George Simon, one of the foremost experts on manipulative personalities, bringing it into the public consciousness. He studied the subtle ways that manipulators twist language, not to communicate, but to dominate the emotional landscape of a conversation. You haven't just stumbled into a confusing conversation. You're on the receiving end of something with a clinical name and a textbook effect. So what is word salad, clinically? To understand it, imagine speech that's intentionally incoherent, sentences that contradict themselves, statements that seem to mean everything and nothing at once. Dr. Simon and other researchers have found that this isn't accidental. Manipulative individuals use word salad as a smokescreen. In the literature, you'll see the mechanism called cognitive overload. Essentially, when you're hit with a barrage of mixed messages, your brain's executive functions, the parts responsible for reasoning and setting boundaries, get overwhelmed. A 2015 study from Dr. Jennifer Freyd at the University of Oregon details how psychological manipulations like this bypass critical thinking. Your nervous system shifts gears, moving from clarity and self-assurance to a state of confusion, doubt, and even panic. In everyday terms, your mind scrambles and you begin to question what's real. This response isn't a flaw. It's your brain's way of coping with too much, too fast, too tangled. The manipulator knows this. They use it as cover, as a way to erode your certainty and, over time, your sense of self. You'll see word salad in 3 places, most often. The first is in intimate relationships. Maybe you've confronted your partner about something that hurt you. Their response isn't an answer. It's a flood. They reference your supposed failures, stories from months ago, details so tangled and contradictory that you lose track. They might say, "You always accuse me, but last week you forgot our dinner. And anyway, I only did that because you stopped caring months ago. Remember that fight?" By the end, you're apologizing. You walk away wondering if you're the unreasonable one. The pattern repeats. Whenever you bring up an issue, the conversation spins out and the original question is lost in the storm. Next, you find it in the workplace. Imagine you approach a colleague or boss about a missed deadline. Instead of a straightforward explanation, you're met with a cascade of shifting reasons. The client changed the scope, the software wasn't working, but also your instructions weren't clear. And by the way, the whole team was dealing with bigger priorities. The logic contradicts itself, and every answer opens another rabbit hole. Soon, you're questioning your own memory, your communication skills, maybe even your worth to the project. The confusion is the point. Accountability slides off their shoulders and lands quietly on yours. Finally, word salad often appears in families of origin. Perhaps you confront a parent about something that's been hurting you for years. The reply is a labyrinth. I did everything for you. If you were unhappy, why didn't you say so? You know how hard things were for me. But you always had more than I ever did. Besides, you never appreciated anything. It's impossible to respond to all of it. And that's the point. By scattering the issue in 1,000 directions, they ensure the core question never lands. The conversation ends, but your confusion lingers. You wonder if you're being unfair, if you're ungrateful, if you're the problem. So how do you spot word salad in real time? There are 4 concrete signals. First, circular reasoning. You notice that every answer seems to lead back to itself, never resolving, just looping endlessly. Second, contradiction within the same breath. They'll make 2 statements that cancel each other out, but insist both are true. Third, topic derailment. Somehow, the conversation always drifts away from your original question, and you're now debating something you never brought up. Fourth, emotional exhaustion. If you leave the conversation feeling mentally scrambled and unable to pinpoint what was actually said, that's your nervous system flashing red lights. The test is simple. If you can't summarize their answer in a single sentence, you may be in the fog of word salad. How do you respond in the moment? There are tactics. Some work, some can make things worse. One is to name the confusion directly. You can say, I'm noticing that the conversation is getting really confusing for me. Can we come back to my original question? Another is to refuse to answer their digressions. If they introduce unrelated grievances, don't take the bait. Right now, I'm only talking about what happened yesterday. The other things can wait. If they contradict themselves, reflect it back. You just said X, but a moment ago you said Y. Which do you mean? It's vital to avoid trying to untangle every thread. They want you to chase the loose ends. The worst response is to escalate, to raise your voice, or to try to win the argument with logic. Narcissists thrive on escalation. They'll use your emotional response as proof that you're the problem. Instead, stay measured, limit the conversation, and if you can, walk away when the fog thickens. Here's the hard truth. Most people will not see this coming. Not next time, not even after learning the word. The nature of word salad is that it disarms you before you can defend yourself. But having the language, knowing what to call it, that's the entire defense. It's the difference between being lost in the fog and being able to name the cloud. If you want to dive deeper, start with Dr. George Simon's book, In Sheep's Clothing. It's the clinical field guide to manipulators, and it gives you not just the words, but the map. If this helped you see your own life differently, share it with someone who needs the words.